You're listening to the Wrigleyville Nation podcast. Here's your hosts, Jeremy and Pat.
Hello and welcome to the Wrigleyville Nation podcast. This is episode 391 of the podcast. My name is Jeremy Deemer and I'll be your host. I'm joined as always by my co-host. He's my cousin. He's high atop Wrigleyville tonight. How's it going, Pat?
It's going well, Jeremy.
Well, it was a week. We've got a lot to cover. We will talk about the Braves, the Rays. We'll talk about the rosters, look ahead towards the rest of the September schedule as we look towards the playoffs. A lot to cover to help us unpack all things Cubs. You know him from his own Cubs podcast called Wrigleyville Forever. We'll get into the inspiration behind that name. And you know him from his appearances on this podcast, Cody Delmendo. Thanks for taking time out to talk Cubs with us today.
What's going on, guys? I was looking forward to explaining that I didn't steal the name of my podcast did not come from you guys. But you know, if people want to put two and two together, if anything, you know, this is just good promotion. Like we were promoting my show at the top of it, and now I will tell all the people to come check this out as well. But if no one knows who you guys' podcast is at this point, then they haven't been on the internet the last 10 years. So
or even 12 or 14 years, however long this has been
right.
On.
But
God.
Yeah, no, it's good to be back. It's a once a year thing, and I would say the last two, the very first one, the vibes were very bad.
Yes,
I think the last one, things were actually looking up before they fell apart.
Yep.
Until you came on the show, things were looking great.
Yeah. And now you waited until like almost the end of the year, and like they have like nearly 100% chance to make the playoffs. So I guess if I'm too positive here, maybe that's bad for October like success. Maybe I should be super negative.
Well, we won't let you be too positive. You know, we
no,
don't
I know that.
This is not the right place for that.
Yeah.
But
we'll try to be real. Let's try to be realistic.
Yeah.
The Cubs did have a positive week, going 4-2.
It was a good week, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. We looked at these 6 games against the Braves in September towards the beginning of the season, and as the Braves continued to free fall, we said these are games that the Cubs need to win. These could be just devastating to throw away, but the Cubs are able to take 4 of 6 against the Braves, doing it on the road this week, going 3-2, taking 2 of 3. Let me say that right. And the first game they lost with Imanaga pitching. Cody, again, Imanaga not getting the run support. That's been the story of all of his starts for a lot of this season.
Yeah. So the Monday game against the Braves, like I don't think I would lean to guess that most Cubs fans turned that off after like the first inning because the Bears were playing. It was the first game of the year.
Yep.
The Bears were playing, and the Bears played well in the first half. So it was like an easy like flip over. Like this Cubs team's so frustrating right now. Like, you know,
some
what
of
I
us
mean?
loyal Cubs fans did flip over on commercial breaks only to be like, what am I doing here? The Bears are winning. It's Bears season. Let me run back.
Yeah. I'll admit it. I was going back and forth, but like I really did come back and watch that game in hopes to see some form of life, but then there just wasn't from the offense. But yeah, Shota not great in that first inning. But I take a little bit of a silver lining in the fact that, you know, he somehow managed to still go, you know, deep enough in the game for you. I mean, he gave up 3 earned runs. So, you know, like to me, that one's on the offense, but it's not good whenever your starting pitcher who's supposed to be, you know, a top 1 or 2 in your rotation is giving up runs to start the game. Like if that happens in October, it's not going to be a good tone setter for a game. You know what I mean? And
we've done that in October, all of October of 2008. I remember for one.
Yeah.
I agree. Also, have you noticed Imanaga? He's been pitching like okay, but not great lately. Like he's had a lot of these 6 1/3 inning 3-run games where we can't say, oh, he was terrible, but you're not saying, oh, he was super sharp either. You know, it's like he's kind of in this in between world where he's
But his problem is that he's giving up too many homers.
Yeah.
I've lost
that was always the concern, right, with him.
Yeah,
that he would do that, and he managed to avoid it for the most part for a year and a couple months.
Well, you know, there was one of my bigger concerns going into the year about him was that, you know, how much did the ballpark factors really help him in year one? And I thought coming into this season, Wrigley Field would be a little bit more neutral. We'd have more days with the wind blowing out than we did last season. And I haven't counted them or every single home game, but I lean to think that it's been a little bit more neutral at least. But not to jump too far ahead, but yesterday on Sunday, the wind was blowing in and he gave up 2 solo homers to start the game.
Yeah, so I know. That was scary.
It's like I do think it is something that is worth being a little concerned about, especially as we get to the end of the year. And also, and I've pointed this out on my own show, like he missed a month and a half? How many homers was this guy giving up if he was healthy all year? You know, like
and not fresh, but actually like tired from
yeah. And the one spin I have about Shota is that his K rate is up his last 8 to 9 starts. I think he had 9 strikeouts yesterday. I don't remember how many he had in this Braves start, but like he's limiting traffic. He's not letting guys get on base. So like, yeah, he gave up 2 homers to start the game yesterday, but at least they were solo shots. It's not like it was, you know, 2 3-run homers or, you know, it was 2-0 after the first, right? Like
he didn't give him a chance to get on base. He just kept giving up home runs.
He struck out.
That's one way to look at it. Yeah. So
yeah, he struck out 4, had no walks.
The beauty of baseball is that Shota can give a couple home runs. In fact, he can do it a couple games in a row, and the Cubs can have their bats go dormant like they did on Monday, and to a certain extent, much of yesterday. And it's fine because there's still 162 games. Contrast that with the Bears game on Monday, and it's like regular season Bartman or something. It's like, oh my God, like the roof is caving in. Because I always said, like, when you lose a football game, it's like losing 10 baseball games in a row.
Yeah.
And when you win one, not that the Bears have won one since in the last year, but when you do win one, it's like winning 10 in a row from what I hear. But anyway, what was impressive to me, though, Jeremy, and I guess this jumps into the next part of this, is after losing that lifeless game in Atlanta to start the road trip against the Braves, who we'd taken 2 of 3 from the week before, I was a little bit pessimistic about the Cubs' chances of taking the series, but I was wrong to be so pessimistic. They rebounded quite well.
Cade Horton continues to be impressive. Rookie of the year discussions at this point, as he goes 6 1/3, giving up 1 earned run, 2 strikeouts, and just another really impressive performance every time out. Like I get people who don't follow the Cubs that are messaging me about, oh, this Cade Horton, like you guys are he got something here. This guy's great. And
I hear the Pope's talking about him in Rome. I don't know. It's in Latin, so it's hard to tell, but I think it's Horton that he's talking about.
White Sox fan Pope is talking about Cade Horton. Wow.
I think Horton converted him.
I wouldn't blame him.
Still Catholic, but he converted him, baseball wise, which is like sort of quasi religious. Yeah. He was solid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, he's just been he's honestly been like the reason that me and you two aren't sitting here talking about the trade deadline still, right?
Yeah.
Like I said it plenty of times and put my hand up already and been like, maybe I was wrong. I don't know. Like maybe we got lucky. I always had high hopes for Cade Horton. I didn't know it would, be this good in year one, but we all thought they needed to add a starting pitcher. And I think my concern with him after a couple months was, how many innings are they going to let this guy throw? But Yeah, he's.
The answer is usually 5, but sometimes 6.
Yeah. Well, hopefully in October they let him go a little bit longer. You know what I mean? Like that's the whole idea, because he's already surpassed like his career high in innings, like professionally.
Yeah, like in July. Yeah.
Right. So it's like, we're just letting it ride, and I am a little. I won't lie. I am a little concerned about it, like down the road, but like in the moment right now, it's just like it's fun to watch it.
So much fun.
And go ahead.
I was going to say, he's had one of these career arcs that is slightly unusual for Cub, but not completely. Like, he was a high draft pick. People were skeptical that he should be taken so high when he was. People around the industry said, oh, not so great, and Cubs were like, no, we believe in him. And then he progressed really well in the minors, and the Cubs were like, see, we told you so. And all the scouting people online were like, this is the ace, this is the guy. And then he gets hurt last year and kind of has a lost season. And it's like, oh, now it's kind of like all the other Cub pitchers, right? Then he comes up this year and, kind of out of the blue, they bring him up and he pitches really well. And now all the industry people are still like, well, his peripherals aren't good enough. And, he's not really as good as he's pitching. And I'm like, neither was, Kyle Hendricks. But for about a decade, I'll take his smoke and mirrors, whatever you want to call it. He was still striking out like 8 or 9 guys per 9, and he was still, giving up maybe 2.5 runs a game. So, I can handle that. And I feel like maybe Cade Horton is on that trajectory, which would be nice because it's been a while since the Cubs have developed a pitcher and a starting pitcher
that they actually drafted.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
He would be the second one in the last 12 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So, unless
you count Dylan Cease.
Yeah. But I think that his ascension here in the second half has been everything that they could have asked for, because Boyd obviously hasn't been as great. And we just talked about the concerns with Shota, and like I'm sitting here right now thinking Cade Horton is game 1 starter in the wild card.
Without Horton, we'd be like, oh, thank God the Mets lost 9 in a row, because we still have a half game lead for the second wild card spot, and we're a game ahead of the Giants for the last wild cards. I mean, it would have been catastrophic because the bullpen was already so taxed because we had to pitch. I mean, most of the second half, Colin Ray plus a bullpen game. That's been your 5th starter. I mean, it's been really been rough, and Cade Horton has at least given us a top 3 starter that we can use. And speaking of which, not only was he solid, but PCA got his hit of the week in that game. It was his only hit of the week, but it came at a good time because he drove in a couple runs, and the Cubs, were able to actually win a game that, it would, but for, PCA getting that hit, you would have been like, oh, we wasted a great start by Horton again. I was at the Braves game where Horton had the no-hitter when they pulled him out of the game and with a 1-run lead, and Cubs ended up losing that game. And so it was nice that this time things turned out differently.
PCA 1 for 21 this week, a rough week for him. He did have a big day on Monday that we are recording this podcast.
But we wouldn't know that because we're recording.
That's right.
So you're just guessing.
But leading it. But what a difference it makes giving him a break from batting 4th and going 0 for 4 every single game. It was nice.
Or 0 for 5 that one time.
Just a frustrating week for PCA. And the Cubs closed out the game against the Braves with Carson Kelly going deep, and the bullpen pitching 4 2/3 scoreless innings while the Cubs defeat Chris Sale. So this was the game where you were like, oh well.
Be honest. Did you think we were gonna win that? I mean, what are the Cubs? What's their record in walk away games? On the last game of a series or last game of a homestand or road trip.
Yeah,
especially with
Jameson Tyone game against Chris Sale.
If I had told you Tyone wasn't going to get out of the 5th inning, and that Chris Sale was the opposing pitcher, what odds would you have given me that the Cubs win that game?
And then he had like 8 strikeouts the first 3 innings.
Right.
Yeah. That was the bullpen gets a ton of credit for that one. They pulled that one out 3-2.
They had a good week.
Yeah, and you look at the box score there for that game. I mean, Porter Hodge is kind of becoming a development here late in the year in the bullpen. Like he's looking more like he did last year.
We had hoped he'd be the closer in March. I remember that was our
and I things didn't go well. He had some injuries. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I mean, we say this a lot about bullpens, right? They're volatile. You hope that you're able to develop one that gives you consistency year over year. But who knows? Maybe Hodge can be that down the road. But it's nice to see him pitch his best here at the end of the year. At least that's my, I guess, silver lining for him on this.
I just like that he's pitching well, period, at some point.
That's true.
I was getting pretty nervous. I mean, they brought him up and sent him down multiple times because he kept getting shelled.
Right.
And sometimes they put him on the IL. Sometimes they just sent him to the minors. It was, I think they were as frustrated as we were.
Well, and
more so.
It was big that the bullpen did this on this particular day because it was just only 2 days after Daniel Palencia was blown up. In that final game against the Nationals and had to go on the injured list and didn't even get an out, blew a 3-1 lead in the 9th inning.
We recall.
Yeah. So it was good to see them do that, Hodge, Theobar.
Washington's first multi-run comeback in the 9th inning of the season.
Was it really?
Out of 73 attempts. Yeah.
Actually, I think I did see that stat.
Yeah. It's probably 1 for 80 by now. I mean, given it's been a week, but yeah.
Yeah. But
I did not have high hopes when they ran Kittredge out there for the save. I had not been impressed with him as a Cub so far, but he proved me wrong, and I owe him an apology because he racked up 3 saves this week.
Really came to the rescue, didn't he, this week? I mean, with Palencia out, the Cubs are at the point of the year where they're not really blowing people out anymore. They're kind of, when they win and when they lose, these are a lot of one-run games, and and if they're not one-run finals, they're games that were one-run games going into the 7th or 8th, and so there's not a lot of margin for error. And for him to come in and pick up 3 saves like that this week was quite a nice boost for the team.
Yeah, I would agree. I think I know it's on it. What I'm about to say happened on Monday during the broadcast, but
what you guess would happen during the game on Monday?
I could, but I think they showed on the broadcast that since a certain date in August, I want to say maybe it's August 1st, maybe. I could be wrong on this, so just take this with a grain of salt. Marquis showed a graphic of the most one-run games played. And I think it was the Orioles and then the Cubs. So the Cubs number 2 in one-run games played since a certain date in August. And I think they were at 19, something like that. So, yeah, they played a lot of one-run games. The difference between this year and last year, though, is that the bullpens actually won them games. And that game against the Braves is a great example. So,
just as an aside, by the way, last Tuesday I was at the Orioles game in Baltimore, and I got to see something I'd never seen before. I don't know how often it happens, but it was a walk-off instant replay where it was the 10th inning. So Baltimore had runners on 1st and 3rd, and I think 1 out. And guy hits a fly ball, sort of tailing away down the left field line, and the outfielder stupidly, silly, I don't know, foolishly, decides to dive and try to catch it. Now, if he catches it, the runner on 3rd tags and scores, and you lose the game. So at the last minute, he kind of dropped the ball. But there was a question as to whether he was fair or foul at the time that it happened. So the umpire on the field ruled it a foul ball, and they were getting ready to play. And then the Orioles decided to challenge the play. And I saw none other than O'Neill Cruz, who was playing center field now for Pittsburgh, start jogging all the way in from center field all the way to the dugout. And I turned to the guys next to me. I'm like, this is getting overturned because O'Neill Cruz is not coming all the way back to the dugout just to have to go back out to center field. This guy, his day is done. You know that, right?
Yeah.
And sure enough, it was overturned. And then, they let off the fireworks. But it was weird because, an odd way to celebrate, I guess. Everybody's just kind of in the dugout waiting to find out whether they've won the game or not. And so the Cubs have not had that yet, have they? Where they've had a couple games where replays, like at home plate, there was a play that kind of won them the game, but it wasn't the last play of the game.
Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I wonder you got to experience like the feeling. You just said it was kind of weird, but
it's like 5 minutes delayed, right? Like, you're used to on a walk-off. The whole point is you'll be clapping and cheering and jumping up and down as the run scores.
Right.
Not like waiting 5 minutes and then sitting back down again and thinking, are we going to go to the 11th inning against the Pirates, or are we going to actually?
I guess like, it was a Pirates Orioles game. Both teams are out of
the top teams. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe. Maybe things are different if it's two teams like in a playoff race.
They did the replay. It showed it was clearly a foul ball, and the umpire's like, "Nope, O'Neill Cruz doesn't care. I don't care. We're calling it fair. Game over."
The game on Friday against the Rays, who came to town, had Boyd giving up 4 earned runs.
It's pretty common these days for him, right?
Yeah, not great to see it again, and including a 3-run home run to Christopher Morel making his return to Wrigley Field.
Yeah,
everyone saw that coming.
Yeah, 100%.
A strike. Yeah.
But you mentioned. Cody, you mentioned the bullpen again coming to the rescue here on Friday. They again, Hodge, Pomerantz even. I didn't have high hopes when I saw Pomerantz coming out to the mound, but him and Keller and again Kittredge closing it out for the Cubs.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't to take any criticism away from Boyd, but the wind was blowing out on Friday. He gave it the 3-run homer to Morel, and then only 1 run after that. Still was able to go 5, so he kept the Cubs in it, and it helped that the Cubs offense showed up. It was like the opposite of the Monday game against the Braves.
Yes.
You're down early, but the offense actually like manufactured runs. They didn't even like hit any homers in the comeback, I don't believe, on this particular day.
Cub team offensive MVP, Ian Happ. Wouldn't that be hilarious at the rate we're going? At the rate we're going, he will be our second half MVP.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to tell everybody who has already wanted to waive Ian Happ, 12 times this year, but he's been the best player on the team in the last 2 months.
It's always a bizarre conversation to have with fans about Ian Happ, but yeah, he went 3 for 4 in that game, 2 RBIs, a walk,
and
and
a home run. Right? It's the definition of regression to the mean. No matter how good he is or how bad he is, you know where he's going to end up. That OPS plus is going to be right around 116 or 117.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as of 10, I don't remember what it was as of after that game, but I know his OPS is over 750 now.
Yeah.
And for most of the season, he was ranging around 700, 710. This isn't just like a 2-week thing. Like if you just go on to Fangraphs and just look up WRC plus on the Cubs since the All-Star break, like I would make an argument that he is number 1 or number 2 on the team. Matt Shaw was ahead of him for a little bit, but like he's even cooled off a little bit. Happ has been really steady here in the second half after what I would call a disappointing first half.
And coming into tonight, he was only like 10 points away from Pete Crow Armstrong for OPS plus or OPS, which when you think about it, I told Jeremy the other night, I said, this is like the tortoise and the hare. Ian Happ is absolutely the tortoise and PCA is the hare, but PCA jumps out to this fast start and Ian Happ's like, nope, I'm going to go slow and steady the entire time. And sure enough,
get my
you're
numbers.
Run out of gas. Yep. Yeah. And here I go, because this is what I do. And when you look back at it, this will be like his 10th year in a row or something doing this. It's just been amazing. And when you look at some of the other, I mentioned this last week, I think when you look at some of the Cub prospects that were very high on, like Casey and these guys, I would be shocked if any of those guys have a 10-year stretch with an OPS plus of like 117 or something. It's so hard to do, and to do it consistently year after year after year, not to mention a couple Gold Gloves while you're at it. I mean, but it's just, he's so like nonchalant and steady that I think people tend to overlook him, and they're like, well, your exit velocity is low. He's like, okay, well, I'll hit like 6 home runs next month or something, and he doesn't have a high batting average anymore, but he walks a lot. He walks a ton now.
Right.
So.
And that's like the opposite of Nico Horner, who, fans love, and I love. I'm sure you guys love. Like, he's an easy guy to root for. He plays Gold Glove defense,
especially if you want a single. That's what he does.
Exactly. But the point is he doesn't walk nearly as much as Ian Happ, and he has no slug, but he hits close to 300. He's normally a career 280 to 300 hitter, and if I'm not a massive batting average guy. I still like to think that it means something, but for someone like Nico Horner, batting average really does matter. You know what I mean? So,
because if he doesn't have a high batting average, he's pretty bad offensively. Right. He's got a 747 OPS. He's lower than Happ, considerably. If he could walk like Ian Happ, he would be like Luis Alvarez, basically. He would be like he'd be hitting 330 or whatever. If you could just turn some of those outs into walks.
And he can steal bases when he gets on there. If he
he's got nearly 30 stolen bases. Too, he is like, I think Nico Horner, when the casual fan just looks at batting average and they're like, oh yeah, this guy always hits well, right? And that's kind of like why I'm pointing out why there's so many Ian Happ detractors, is they just look that they look and see that he hits like 240 every year, and don't really. And his OPS it's not 850, it's 780, and like his cold stretches are frustrating, no doubt. But even during his cold stretches, he still finds a way to walk.
Yeah.
Or else his walk rate wouldn't be so high year in and year out. So he can be a really frustrating player when he's not going well. But when he's going well, like he has been in the second half, like you see how valuable he can be for a team. I still think that I would still consider this a little bit of a down year for him comparatively the last couple of years. But when you look at the offensive numbers by the end of the year, they'll be basically right where they're.
He's got 2 weeks to catch up. It's like
Right.
Meanwhile, your guy Horner I saw today he had a B WAR or whatever of 6.1, which is third in baseball behind Ohtani and maybe Judge or somebody. It's like, I didn't realize second base defense was such an important category. But, you also look at the fact that Horner this year has done something, maybe, Swanson and some others could take a look at this, but he's been really good with runners in scoring position. He's been uncannily successful at driving in runs with men on base. Whereas a lot of the other teams, especially in the last 3 months, has had their difficulties. PCA struggled with that. Suzuki. I mean, these guys have like 80 RBIs at the All-Star break, and now they've got like 90. It's like, come on, like what are you doing here?
Horner, his slash line with runners in scoring position, as of right now, at least, as of this recording, 362, 418, and a 457 slug with an 875 OPS.
Yeah, I feel if your second baseman has an 875 OPS and can hit 362, you're probably pretty. I mean, Rogers Hornsby kind of level.
Yeah,
right? I mean,
is this like the closest thing to Jose Altuve the Cubs have ever had? Without the homers and the Crawford boxes and the cheating,
It was super important too to have Horner be able to slide over to shortstop when Swanson was so bad for a stretch, and you had to sit him down. You didn't lose a step on defense putting him.
Wish they'd done that last year when Swanson was hurt, but I guess that's bridge under water under the bridge.
It was an option.
Yeah,
it was definitely an option. Yeah.
On Saturday, we celebrated your dad turning 80 years old, and Cubs fans celebrated the return of Anthony Rizzo to Wrigley Field.
Number 44.
It was great to see he signed as a Cub to do his official retirement, and it was quite a spectacle at Wrigley.
Yeah, I wish I could have gone, but the prices for those tickets on the retail sites, they skyrocketed for obvious reasons.
Yeah. Well, we had a birthday party to go to, so we couldn't go. But we were there in spirit, and it was nice to see. I did see Rizzo. I have to say, he is a little bit out of shape. I can see why he got cut. So for those who weren't watching the game, Moises Ballesteros hits his first home run of his career into the left field bleachers. Okay, that's great. But he hits it directly at, I kid you not, Anthony Rizzo.
Insane.
It goes off his hand.
A sold-out game.
Yeah.
Hits it to Anthony Rizzo.
Hits him in the hand, and luckily doesn't hit like Sidney Crawford in the face next to him, or Eddie Vedder in his hand, which is probably a more important hand these days. But it caroms the other way, and to a unsuspecting fan behind him who hopefully had a pen on him, because I mean you got to get the autograph. Although you kind of want to give it back to Ballesteros.
Well,
so what do you do? Yeah. That's a real tough one.
Yeah, he ended up giving it back to Rizzo, who threw it back for Ballesteros. Yeah,
but you got to get something out of that, an autographed jersey, something.
Yeah, when Rizzo went into the booth, he said that for returning the ball, he wanted a Ballesteros signed bat and a jersey. Yeah. He wanted the gifts.
I totally like fair.
That's like such a unique way to have your first career homer, right? Like there's like we got Christopher Morel hitting his first career homer and his first career bat. Same thing with Wilson Contreras in 2016, right? Like those are cool moments that we will always remember. But like we will never see anything like that ever again. A guy hitting his first career homer to a franchise legend that was hanging out in the bleachers. Like
in fairness, like the official score should have ruled it an error, but he gave him the home run, so that's fine. I did leave the park technically, so I guess. But no, you're right, Cody. That was one of those. I mean, you couldn't recreate that if you tried it a million times, and I don't think it's ever happened. It probably never will.
Yeah,
that was just
we talked about this on my show. I guess this question for you guys. I don't think he'll be like his own separate statue. I think there might be a 2016 statue put out like maybe next year or announced next year or something that features him and guys on it. But I feel like 44 should be retired. It should hang on the foul poles. I think that he is worthy of that. I think the number should be retired. He'll obviously go into the Cubs Hall of Fame, but I do think
for sure.
I think 44 deserves to fly at Wrigley Field forever.
They're running out of numbers, but luckily they got to double use one of them. So, I mean, there's, it's, but yeah, I mean, what do you do with Mark Grace? What do you do with Rizzo? It's, the Cubs have this knack of getting people who stick around for a while and become really big fan favorites, unlike some teams like the Rockies, where you just go there and wilt. But maybe a statue of Bryant throwing the ball to Rizzo, like for the, with CJ Edwards on the mound. No, probably don't need him on the mound. But, for the final out of Game 7 or something, I don't know. Something like that might make sense, right? They're kind of a package deal anyway.
Yeah. Or it's weird because, Addison Russell is such a, it's just people want to try to forget that he was part of the team, even though he was a massive part of why they won. But like that famous photo of all four of them, like kind of jumping in each other's arms, that, something like that makes sense. But I would understand why the Cubs wouldn't want to put Addison Russell on the statue.
Just replace him with Lester.
Right.
I mean, artistic
or do the whole raising David Ross up, everyone. I don't know. Like that. I don't know what they would do as a team thing, but that's what I think that they should do. I don't think anyone from that team, except for not a single one, but like if there's anyone from that era that deserves a statue, in my opinion, is Theo Epstein. Like I wouldn't put a player single statue, but Theo Epstein built the roster. He changed everything. He set a standard here. That's why we have complained about this team ad nausea for the last handful of years without them making the playoffs.
And their unwillingness to make a big move and to actually take risks. And this is where you and I agree, but diverge from the Matt Trueboods of the world, who somehow is not as big of a Theo fan. But I'm like, win it when you can. I
forgot about that tweet.
Win it when you can. That's my approach. What is it? Flags fly forever? Is that what they say? It turns out that's true. They do. I can go outside my window right now and look at one.
Flags do fly forever.
Theo, huge part of that. So many. The problem with the World Championship team, and especially in baseball, is that there's so many players that have. Ben Zobrist was the MVP of the World Series. Kyle Schwarber had the big hit to lead off the inning, and later hit 54 home runs with the Phillies in a year or something. That'd be this year. And you've got all these guys. Kyle Hendricks pitched that game against the Dodgers, that amazing game against Kershaw to close out and win the pennant. I mean, there's just so many players on that team that deserve some part of that recognition, right? So I don't know how you turn that into a statue, per se.
Yeah.
No, maybe you just compromise and do the Albert Almora tagging up to second, because they were respecting 90, and that helped score the run. So I don't know, but you're right. There's got to be something there. The easy out might be like the Rizzo thing, I guess, but it does leave a lot of other people out who played a critical role on that team. I mean, John Lester had an amazing year that year. If you go back and look at his stats, really, really amazing year that year. Forgot about that.
Next year is the 10-year anniversary, so they're going to do something. Something will come there, whether it's a statue or something else. They have to do something for the 10-year. I'm glad Anthony Rizzo is going to be a part of the organization, a part of all the celebrations going forward. It's great to have him in that ambassador role, something that he did so admirably throughout his entire Cubs career. Just all the work that he does in the community.
Yeah, this isn't to call you guys old or anything, but like I genuinely feel like Anthony
bad
Rizzo,
start, but yeah.
I feel like Anthony Rizzo is my Ryan Sandberg. Like I was born in 91, so I didn't grow up with the 84 team. All I have with Rhino is just his attachment to the fan base, on top of like everything that he's meant to everyone over the course of my life. My mom, she told me about the one time she's been to Wrigley Field. It's a very long story to why she's only been to Wrigley Field one time, while I've been there countless times. But she always would bring up about how the one time she was there, she saw Ryan Sandberg play third base. Like, this is early back in his career. And the point I'm getting to is that, like, I just feel like for people of my generation, Anthony Rizzo is our Ryan Sandberg. He's not going to go to Hall of Fame. However, he does have a higher WAR than Harold Baines, so I can make an argument if you want. But he is,
better hitter than Derek Jeter. I'll tell you that. I've done that exercise multiple times.
We can make an argument. All right.
It's not even an argument. It's almost like a fact. Sorry.
So, and he was the key, like, I don't know about key piece, but like
he's the captain.
He's the captain.
Yes, the captain of the team that broke.
He's the Phil Cavarretta. You're probably not too young to remember this, but back in the 40s, the Cubs had and 30s, the Cubs had a guy named Phil Cavarretta. That'd be the 1930s and 40s, Cody. Not. I'm thinking backwards and forwards.
Yeah.
That's one of those guys who had that role. But yeah, it would be, and he was a vocal leader too, which is not like Sandberg was a little bit different in that regard, but. I think you're right. In a lot of people's minds, he is that guy.
Yeah,
and it is wild to think that when the Cubs have their 10-year anniversary next year, there may only be 2 players from that team who are still active in Major League Baseball.
Schwarber and
Baez.
Oh yeah, Javi Baez.
Yeah. Oh, one more.
And I guess Chris Bryant too. Like, unless he finally leaves.
I mean, by active
like, is doing some heavy lifting there.
Like,
he's still being paid by the Rockies to play baseball. All right.
And then the third might be Wilson Contreras, right?
Oh,
true.
Yeah.
Right.
So 4.
And actually, the fourth would be Jason Hayward, probably, because he'll still be going. He's going to get 3,000 hits. He's going to be Harold Baines, I promise you. He's going to come back and have 1,000 hits in his 40s, and we'll be like, oh yeah.
Well, he got DFA'd this year by the Padres, and no one's picked him up. That's why he was at Wrigley Field for Rizzo's thing on Saturday.
It was actually nice that he could come to that. I appreciate that Padres doing that for us. Kyle Hendricks may be gone by next year.
Sure.
Yeah.
But
I mean, look, it's been a decade. No shade on those guys.
No. Well, I just think that, and we've had this conversation many times, not specifically us three, but I'm sure you guys have with other fans. Like, after they won 16, we all thought that this team was just gonna, be a dynasty and all this, and that was because they had so many young guys.
85 Bears.
Yeah, I guess the one surprise of it is that a lot of the young players from that team, outside of Schwarber, like they're kind of dwindled out. And I think injuries.
I'd say Baez play. He ended up being something, right? He was a MVP candidate and whatnot after that.
Yeah,
he and Schwarber were the two guys I think who emerged from that. Contreras, I guess, to a degree, but you're right. Addison Russell had his situation.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the other,
Almora
never
didn't
really
pan out.
Yeah,
right?
Brian
Soler had that kind of. He might be around next year, but in playing, but he had that weird, 44 homers one year, hits 060 the next, back and forth with a bunch of bad teams. Nobody even noticed. Yeah. I don't know. It's just a weird. Hayward's career didn't go the way people had expected.
Yeah.
A lot of the other guys, like, the Zobrist of the world and the Lesters, had a couple more years in them, but not many more, before they were kind of done.
Zobrist probably could have played a few more years if his situation.
Right, he had his situation. Yeah.
But, but either way, we're kind of zooming all over.
Yeah, it's always great to talk about 2016. I could do it all night long. But the Cubs ended up losing that Rizzo game, unfortunately, to the Rays.
That game was so perfect. Like the baseball god gave us everything, and then Brad Keller, who hadn't give up a run since the All-Star break, finally gives up a run. And it's just,
by the way, Bush hit a home run in that game too. So the first baseman hits the home run, the replacement, the rookie Ballesteros hits it, and then Keller stumbles over his feet for the first time. You're right, since like before the All-Star break.
It was everything. That game would have been one. How people still talk about the John Baker game. People would have talked about the Rizzo game. Or the Rizzo retirement game if they just would have won the game.
Thank God you didn't spend $180 to sit in the bleachers for that one.
I would have been very, very mad. I would have came home really mad. I was already here at home on my couch really mad, but at least I didn't spend $180 to be mad.
Yeah, right. No, it was bad enough because it was also one of those games where you're like, come on, let's not lose this series because we have the way the Cubs have been playing. You're like, oh, now they're going to lose on Sunday and go 3-3 this week, but. Luckily, that did not happen.
No, Nico Horner, who we talked about, came through with some big offense, and the bullpen bounces back after giving up the run the day before. And Assad, who now that we have a fully healthy starting rotation, Assad comes out of the bullpen in this one, pitched 2 1/3.
When was the last time the Cubs in a 4-game stretch had 3 games where the bullpen went 4 or more scoreless innings to close it out without giving up a run? I mean, the bullpen in those other 3 games, other than the one where Keller had the mishap, they were perfect in all those games, and they went 4 1/3 each one. That was nice.
We see these stretches where it's like the bullpen is great, and then the bullpen struggles, and the roller coaster.
Like every team probably goes through that to some degree. Yeah,
absolutely. It's magnified with our starting pitching problems we've had all season. But here, everybody's healthy for the first time and active. We have on the injury front, Kyle Tucker still on the IL. So a lot of the lineups you saw here, if you love what these lineups look like, you're going to love next year's Cubs because it's going to look a lot like what we saw with Tucker on the IL here.
So Tucker's not coming back, is he?
Well, that's a real like pessimistic outlook in your head.
I'm just thinking like.
Are you talking about like to play the rest of the season, or are you just talking about next season?
He's coming back from the IL. Yes.
Yeah, yes. I'm talking about next season.
No, next season he's not coming back.
Okay. Hear me out here. You guys know I'm an optimistic guy. All right. So you roll your eyes. It's fine. But I honestly feel like they have a better shot to bring Kyle Tucker back now than
he's bad.
I wouldn't say he's bad. We see how he is whenever he's hurt. Mm-hmm. And listen, I think he deserves some blame for the whole fractured hand thing. but also like there's got to be someone in the organization that puts their foot down. Like the Cubs did, like they let him do this because they're trying to maintain a good relationship with him because they want him to come back.
Why
And
they
like,
let Dansby Swanson do it last year? They have him under contract for 4 more years, for God's sake.
True.
It just feels like they just do this over and over again.
This is an organizational problem.
Failure.
Failure. Yes. Like the way they manage injuries is asinine. Like it's so wild to me that they do this over and over, and it happens at least once a year. Like you just said, Dansby Swanson last year, Nico Horner last year. Somehow Nico Horner still ended up being a 4-win player last year, despite playing with whatever was wrong with his hand, But his offense wasn't nearly as good last year as it has been this year, probably because he's healthy, Kyle Tucker, once the news came out that he was playing with a fractured hand, or he had been playing with a fractured hand, and it was, according to the Cubs, now healed, they went out to Anaheim, and he had an insane series. And he played well in Colorado that weekend, too. Then they came back. And that's when they hosted the Braves. He hit a 3-run homer at Wrigley, and then hurt his calf trying to steal second base. And it's just
because he got on base again after that.
Yeah. So he was like back. He was playing really well. My problem after that, though, is the Cubs call it day to day. Oh, he's going to be back like just a couple days. Here we are. It's been like he's supposed to be able to be activated Tuesday. So tomorrow, if you're listening. And I think Bruce Levine has already reported that the Cubs aren't going to activate him. So it's just like
12 games post injury. But
yes, and this started as a day-to-day thing. Like it's I don't know.
You really want to get him some at bats before the playoffs too.
Absolutely.
It's getting kind of tight here.
Absolutely. But my overarching point about Kyle Tucker is that I think he definitely has cost himself millions of dollars, but he's still going to get a lot of money because everyone knows how good he is when he is on. The reason the Cubs are 22 games above 500 largely is because of Kyle Tucker. Like
he helped him get to 20 games over 500 in early June, and they've been coasting ever since.
Yeah, I mean they played 500 ball basically since June, right? But the fact that they played as well as they did in April, May, like he was a massive part of that. And I just think that there's not one player in this Cubs farm system there's Owen Casey. Maybe Ballesteros can hit like him, but I don't know if he can hit as many homers as him, even though he only has like 21 or 22. But like,
nobody's as good a hitter.
No one is. Yeah, no one in this
except for Cody Bellinger. He's a better hitter this year, sadly. But nobody else.
You don't think ballpark factors have anything to do with that, Patrick?
Well, if you look at WAR, and that's supposed to take that into account, right? He has surpassed Tucker in WAR. Now that's probably because he's been healthy all year.
He's played more.
If you had told me at the beginning of the year that Bellinger would surpass Tucker in WAR due to Bellinger's Ironman streak, I would have been skeptical. But here we are, Cal Ripken.
But the thing about that argument or that conversation, like I liked Bellinger. The thing is they had nowhere to play him.
After they got Tucker,
right,
but that'll be a good postseason discussion. Like when you go back through all the moves they made before the season and at the All-Star break, like did they do a good job constructing this team? And we've argued long and hard for the last year and a half that roster construction has been a difficulty for this team. They just the pieces don't fit, and there are a lot of no trade clauses out there in contracts that make it more that exacerbate the situation. But you're right that the pieces don't fit.
And say they don't trade for Tucker, I still think they're going to trade Bellinger anyway, because it would have opened up a roster spot for whether it's Owen Casey or Moises Ballesteros or one of those two, or even Alcantara. A lot of fans, in my opinion, just don't really view it that way. And that's why I don't really care that Bellinger is doing what he's doing. I guess
the bottom line is you gave up Bellinger and now you also gave up Cam Smith. So that could be potentially the gift that keeps on giving for about 10 years. It may or may not be. We'll see. He's young and he's had his ups and downs, but that's the thing. Like, we didn't get the short term. The idea was we're giving up long-term pain for short-term game, and we got neither, sort of. I mean,
we still have October.
Broke even. Yeah,
if he comes back and
prove us wrong.
Well,
I would like nothing more than for Kyle Tucker to lead us to the World Series, go and win, go sign somewhere else, and we can overshadow the entire 2015 10-year anniversary or 2016 10-year anniversary with having won it the year before.
I think that this is one of like my optimistic like spin zones is at least over the last, which I'll just say since the start of September, because I think the team has played pretty well in September given the circumstances with injuries. Seiya hasn't played, like Seiya didn't play over the weekend, and I know Seiya hasn't been good in the second half, but he's still a name. He's still a guy who has nearly 30 homers, right? And then Tucker's been out for the last week and a half, right? So a large part of this month, they have played better baseball without, in my opinion, the two guys that make this team go. I know PCA
who's the best hitter of the week.
Yeah, I mean, right. Like they've inserted young guys from their farm, and they have actually helped keep this team afloat.
Something they could not do the last couple of years in playoff. Right. Remember the last 2 years before this when they had the September playoff blues. They had nobody they could pull up. So it is an improvement on that.
Yeah.
Now, the question is, do you think that they should re-sign Carlos Santana?
Should they re-sign Justin Turner?
Yes. Don't worry. They will find other guys who used to be good and try to sign them. Don't worry.
I just want to know do you think what's the over-under on Santana getting a hit with the Cubs in a Cubs uniform this year?
Time is running out.
Because if somebody comes off the IL, if Tucker comes off the IL, I would cut Santana before I would send Cassie or Ballesteros back to the minors at this point.
But they won't. I don't think they. I agree with you. Let me say that I agree with you. But this organization loves to make us miserable, and they won't do it. They won't cut him. They will. Him and Justin Turner will make the playoff roster, and he is no Randall Simon as we explored last week. I'll tell you that. He's God. When they picked him up, there were so many like baseball analytics nerds online that were so happy about it, and I'm like, we just picked up Justin Turner 2.0, man. What are we like? We are taking away spots from guys that actually could help this team. Like Moises Ballesteros this past week, you just said he should have been on this roster consistently months ago. He didn't have to play every day, but you could have found ways to get him in the lineup, especially in August when this offense was really struggling. It just, when they signed Santana, it was the most Jed Hoyer Cubs thing. It really. When people online said, "Well, maybe he can spell Kelly at catcher," I thought, "Oh my God, we're in the wrong decade, aren't we?" Oh my gosh, yeah. No, I'm not trying to hate on Carlos Santana too much. It's just more the fact that I just didn't get it, and I still don't. It's just not his time, No. I think the only pro out of him is, and this is all from stats in Cleveland, his defensive run save outs above average at first base has been good. But I don't really care that he's good at defense when Michael Busch is your everyday first baseman. Totally fine. Right. Yeah.
The Cubs are holding on to the top wild card spot. They are. I think
they might have. They all but clinched a playoff spot this week, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
4-2, right? I mean, no one's catching them. Three teams aren't catching them. How about that?
Correct. You've got the rest of the teams that are out of the wild card race are all right at 500. So the Cubs are 9 games into their playoff spot here. So they're looking good. They're 4 games ahead of the Padres for the home field in the wild card best of 3. As we they just finished 6 games against the Rockies, so they used up their special charms. Both the Cubs and Padres went 6-4 in their last 10 games, while the Mets, who are hanging on to that last spot, went 2-8. The Giants are a game and a half behind the Mets, while the Diamondbacks are 2 games out. So for that last spot, not decided for the Mets for sure.
I'm like, as funny as it is to watch the Mets, like really Mets here in September, I'm like really hoping they hold on because I don't want the Giants to get in. I feel like the Giants could be last year's Tigers or the Diamondbacks from 2 years ago. I really do feel that way. It's crazy if you go back and listen to our series recap on Wrigleyville Forever after the Giants series. I said something along the lines of, because the Giants swept the Cubs. That's like right when they got hot. Like that's the beginning of them getting hot. I said, like, I know they've underachieved this year and Devers hasn't been as good as they had hoped, but this roster is too good to be as bad as what that record is. And here we are. And Logan Webb is awesome. And they're a team that does give me a little concern if they get in that 6th spot and is playing with house money. So
well, you know what? I welcome them to get the 6th spot because if the Cubs play them again, it'll be in the NLCS, and we can get revenge on the 1989 season. So
fair enough.
We'll see. I don't know. It would also be nice to play the Mets again and beat them in a playoff series. 2015 still leaves a bad taste in my mouth. But
that's fair.
But these teams would have to get to the NLCS to face us. We'll be there.
Yeah,
but they'll have to get there.
We hope we'll be there. Yeah.
Oh, come on. It's obvious at this point, right?
Did you guys see the article that Jesse Rogers put out today?
No. I don't. No.
They did like a survey. They did a survey. Yeah. Jesse Rogers of ESPN put out this article. Yeah. There was a survey with like execs and scouts and all this, and it was like who gives the Brewers, like one of the questions was who gives the Brewers the biggest problems or whatever.
The Cubs.
Not one person said the Cubs.
Really? Even though we're the team that has a winning record against them. That's
right. Not one person.
That's why they call them experts.
Yeah. You have to, I quote tweeted on my Twitter account, but yeah, just go to Jesse Rogers' Twitter account. Like that's probably the last thing he tweeted. It was, there's a whole bunch of like questions that they answered and he goes through it. But the very first thing is like, who should the Brewers fear the most? And not one.
If the Cubs play the Brewers in that playoff series, all the pressure will be on the Brewers. 100%. And they will choke on it. Trust me.
Well, I also feel like the stuff that's come out today related to Pat Murphy reading that Bob Uecker like fake letter. I don't know if you guys read about that.
I heard about that. That was weird.
That's bad juju, man. That's bad juju. I don't know. So
they're done.
With 2 weeks left in the regular season before we get to see the postseason happen with both the Cubs and the Brewers in it, the Cubs have to finish with 3 games at Pittsburgh and 4 games at Cincinnati on this road trip.
The last 7 on the road for the year.
The last road trip of the year. The Cubs started the road trip off by winning on the Monday night in Pittsburgh.
We think they will, hypothetically.
Well, technically, as of now, the game has finished.
It has finished. It is official.
So we're predicting. Yeah,
that's right. So we're going to do predictions right now. We're going to look ahead to the week that will be of the 7 games. I'll give you one already happened. So of the 7 games, Pat, we'll start with you. What do you think the Cubs do on the road?
I predict the Cubs will start off strong and win the first game at Pittsburgh. However, in the remaining 6 games, the Cubs either have an even pitching matchup or a negative pitching matchup in every single game. The Cubs do not have a pitching advantage in a single game the rest of the week, which is kind of interesting because that doesn't usually happen for the Cubs. The Reds starting staff is very good. Hunter Green, we're catching him. We got Lodolo. We got all their good ones. We got Skeens tomorrow. I mean, this is a bad little run. So typically I'd say, the Cubs are going to walk through these guys like a knife through hot butter and go 5-2. I will amend that, and I will say that the Cubs will go 4-3. But in reality, if they go even 3-4, they're probably going to end up with the top wild card spot, I'm guessing. But 4-3 would make me feel a lot better going into last week. When we get to play the hapless Mets, I believe, right?
Yes, that is correct. The Mets and Cardinals, we finished both hapless.
Wouldn't it be nice to put some nails in their coffins? so to speak. Metaphorically, of course.
I'll stay optimistic because I feel like I'm one of the only few Cubs fans optimistic considering how things have played out. But like the Reds are still kind of in that wild card race, and they have the most pressure to like win later this week. But the thing about the Pirates and the Reds that are similar is they're both like terrible defensive teams. So I think that the Cubs will take advantage of their mistakes and stuff. They just got to find a way to not give up a bunch of homers to the Reds, and I think they can go 5-2. I think it can go.
And their offenses just don't seem that particularly. I mean, certainly Pirates' offense is terrible, but the Reds' offense seems like it should be better, doesn't it?
It should be, yeah. The Reds have been a big disappointment. I mean, going into the year, it's kind of similar to the Cubs last year. Like, oh, they hired Terry Francona. You know, like there's something about the Reds that is, it's like a lot of what ifs that I feel like people are going to be asking at some point because they are just wasting these cheap years of Ellie De La Cruz and not getting to the postseason with him at all. And you look at their starting rotation; to me, it's really good. I think you guys would agree with that. But they're just not a good defensive team. And that's why them adding Cabrera Hayes I actually kind of liked, but their offense too, it just hasn't lived up to what everyone thought it would be. I just think that the Cubs, with everything that's going on, I think they're playing decent ball right now for a team that doesn't have like two of their best hitters. So
5 out of 7.
I think they can go 5 out. They 1-0 on the trip so far. So I think they can, go 5-7 or 5-2 on this week.
I'm a 4-3 guy this week. I think they're just trying to play out the schedule and they're just going to get through it and we will have one more homestand to talk about, and then we will be just talking postseason all the time. So really looking forward to that. Looking forward to the way that we close out every single show, and that's talking about our Cubs player profile. Cody, our guest, gets to choose the player that we profile next week. So I've put the previous choices into the chat. These are players that have already been taken. Our patrons over at patreon.com/Wrigleyville Nation, they got to pick this week's player profile, and it's Carlos Zambrano, Pat.
Yep. El Toro, the Bull, as they say, or Big Z, as we called him.
Big Z.
Born June 1st, 1981 in Venezuela. Famously 6'4", 275 pounds on a good day. Maybe a little heavier on a bad day. He pitched in Venezuela, as many young kids do, in a series of teams there, and was noticed by several scouts, including the Cubs. The Cubs brought him over to their Cubs Academy, where the Cubs Latin American scouting lead said, hey, we want you. And they signed him in 1997 at the age of 16. He came over to Chicago or to the States in 1998, where he pitched in the Cubs minor league system and did quite well. Made his major league debut in 2001 at the tender age of 20. Gosh, I mean, the Cubs never bring up a prospect who's 20, yeah, right?
I remember his
PCA
debut.
Is like
that was
the closest. Yeah. So he got to start against the Brewers. He got crushed, sent him back to Iowa. That's fine. And then he came back in September and he pitched out of the bullpen effectively. So in 2022, he started the first, back in those days, like you'd have a lot of off days, so you wouldn't have a fifth starter. So, he brought him up on April 11th. When he came in, he actually replaced Title 4 Mayor Kyle Farnsworth.
Yes, Title 4.
Who was injured in a unrelated late night accident, probably. And he joined the team then, pitched out of the bullpen. Then they moved him to the starting rotation when none other than future Hall of Famer Jason Bure went down with an injury on July 1st. So after pitching in the pen, he became a starter. He ended up the year with a 3.66 ERA, which, remember, 2002 was the heart of the steroids era, right? So, 3.66 ERA was pretty good. That was a 1.11 ERA plus, just to put it in perspective. He was certainly an above average pitcher at the time. And he actually got 1.4 WAR, which shows you what a workhorse he is in terms of innings, both out of the bullpen and then later as a starter. And then he went on this 6-year run from 2003 to 2008, where he won 91 games in 6 years. He put up 30.5 WAR in a 6-year period. I mean, he was just really, he came out every fifth day at a time when Pryor and Wood and every other Cubs starter seemed to be getting hurt left and right. He was the one consistent guy. Notably in 2004, he was 16-8 with a 2.75 ERA, a 1.60 ERA plus, which, very high. I think Lester had a 1.60 or so ERA plus in 2016, but you don't see that very often from a Cubs starter. Zambrano was an all-star in 2004, 2006, and 2008. Kind of the Brett Saberhagen, Oral Hershiser thing where he plays well every other year. But he was pretty good on the even number or in the odd numbered years too. He also finished 5th in the Cy Young Award each of those 3 years. He may be the first pitcher and only pitcher ever in history to make 3 All-Star teams and finish 5th in the Cy Young Award 3 times, all in the same sequence of 2 years apart. He was a Silver Slugger, of course. We know how good a hitter he was in 06 and 08 and 09.
So much fun. It was so much fun watching him hit.
He used to pitch hit. He used to pitch hit.
Yeah. I mean, there's something about watching him hit that made me want to not get off the couch. Yeah.
Yes. It was great.
Would you rather pitch hit him or Carlos Santana or Justin Turner?
Oh, give me Big Z all day.
Big Z.
Hell, yes. I'd take John Lester over Carlos Santana hitting right now.
So during this 6-year stretch, he did something that very few Cubs do. He pitched in 3 separate playoff seasons because he was one of the few. I mean, until recently under Theo, the Cubs didn't make the playoffs 3 times in 6 years, but they did in this stretch. In 2003, he had 3 starts. Sadly, that was his first full season as a starting pitcher, and he was tired. This is my Cade Horton, my concern is he basically got dead arm late in the year, and he just wasn't the same in the playoffs, which is a real shame because had he pitched against Atlanta and then later against Miami in those 2 games, the way he had pitched any other time during the rest of the year, the Cubs advanced to the World Series that year. But it wasn't meant to be. He pitched that when the Cubs were up 3-0 against Miami in Miami. He pitched that game against Josh Beckett, and he pitched great. He gave 1 2-run homer in like 6 innings, but still the Cubs didn't score. They got shut out, so it didn't really matter. And they went back to Wrigley, and of course we know what happened there. But he redeemed himself in 2007. I believe you might have been with me, Jeremy, at Michael's Pizza when the Cubs were playing the Arizona Diamondbacks, and he went 6 innings and 1 run, going up against ace pitcher for the Giants at the time. Wasn't Webb, was it? No, what was the guy? It was the guy before Webb, but same pitcher, just different name. And unfortunately, the Cubs ended up losing that game later, after he had left. And then they lost the rest of the series, of course, the next 2 games. Then in 2008, against the Dodgers, Cubs, best record in baseball, 98 wins, I think, or something like that. And they lose game 1. So he's the game 2 starter at Wrigley. Of course, I was there for that one.
I was there too. Yeah.
Really hot out. I remember that. And that was the game where the Cubs infield all took turns committing errors. And so Zambrano ended up going 6.1 innings, 3 earned runs, 7 total runs. But it's kind of hard. I mean, he had 5 unearned runs, or four out of the 5 runs he gave up in the second inning were unearned. And, the Cubs never really scored enough to come back in that game. But, boy, talk about no support behind you. I mean, your 4 trusted defenders, you had the Riot at second. You had DeRosa, or the Riot was at short, DeRosa at second, Lee and Ramirez, all 4 of them making an error in that inning. Ugh. So those were his playoffs. Unfortunately, he never had the benefit of winning a playoffs series other than that Braves series that he lost his 1 game in 2003 and never got to advance like later teams did into the World Series. And then after that span of 6 years, the next couple of years, 3 years, he, in 2009 to 11, he still won 29 games and had 6.3 WAR, but he was kind of a little bit of a step down. Had some issues then with some personality conflicts. I believe It was May 27th of 2009 when he destroyed the Gatorade machine. I had tickets to do a tour of Wrigley Field the next day. I brought Cameron, my kid, and he, we have a picture of him like fake punching through because the hole was still in the Gatorade. They hadn't moved it yet. It was still there in the dugout. It's like, wow. Milton Bradley, well known for his positive attitude, said after that game, when they asked him about what had happened, he said, that was pretty impressive. coming from the master, right? Yeah. June 25th, he got into a shouting match with Derek Lee in the dugouts. That wasn't so great. In 2010, on opening day, he gave up 3 home runs to Jason Hayward. I remember it. It was on the road. Hayward was with the Braves. He was a rookie. He was like 20 years old himself. And I remember I was standing in line at the National Archives listening to the game on my Walkman with my family. And I was like, Hayward hit another home run. My wife's like, what do you mean? He just said I said, yeah, it's another one. So that's the second home run, right? It's the second inning now. He's got another one. That was terrible. But then he kind of, both of those years, he ended up pitching better later on. And then weird thing in 2011, when he was cleaning out, or he was pitched against the Braves, terrible game, left, went into the clubhouse, cleaned out his locker. The Cubs put him on the disqualified list. This was August 12th, later in the year. And that was it. He was done. In the offseason, they then traded him for Chris Volstad. Remember him? To Miami. And Volstad lasted about a year with the Cubs, maybe 2. And Zambrano lasted 1 year with Miami, and then he retired officially. And then he unretired 7 years later to come back to Chicago to rejuvenate his career with the Chicago Dogs, who played in, was it Rockford or Joliet? Someplace west of
Rosemont, I think. Rosemont.
Yeah, Rosemont.
Oh, north of me. Okay, Rosemont. I knew it was a suburb. I just didn't know which one. And unfortunately, that did not result in any major league contract offers. So he did not make the Hall of Fame. But I do want to point to some of the positive things that happened, because we've talked about some of the negatives. He in 2005, he had elbow issues, and the Cubs were concerned about him. And they said that they thought it was because he was spending too much time on his laptop. So he cut his laptop time from 5 hours a day to 2 hours, and his elbow improved. So modern science. Another one I want to point out was on June 1st of 20. Yes, June 1st of 2007. You might remember. I think we were at the game. He punched Michael Barrett in the face because in the dugout, because they got into an argument, and apparently Barrett pointed at the scoreboard dismissively, and then Zambrano gave him a black eye. Rough stretch he was going through, but he was NL Player of the Month in July, so he did turn things around. And then Barrett returned the favor of punching out AJ Brzezinski. So the transitive properties, right? Man. But the thing I want to most talk about happened in 2008. Now, 17 years ago today was a Monday. You know how I know that? Because 17 years ago yesterday was a Sunday, September 14th, which is the day that Jeremy asked me, I'm going to drive up to Milwaukee to go see the Cubs play the Astros. Do you want to come? I'm like, I can't. I got to go to work tomorrow. Well, that was a mistake, because what happened, Jeremy?
Carlos Zambrano threw a no-hitter. The
first Cubs no-hitter since 1972.
That is correct.
Pappas did it. Oh.
And the only neutral site no-hitter in Major League Baseball history. Yes.
Yeah. In front of how many of you were there?
There was a bigger crowd for the Zambrano game. I stayed for the next day with the Ted Lilly game as well, and that one was like 5,000. But this was like closer to like 9,000 or 10,000 almost.
Maybe it was because this might have been the Saturday game, and then it was Sunday when Lilly almost threw a no hitter too. Right,
seven hitless. Yeah, it was. Quite a game. That was amazing in Milwaukee. Your own private Cubs game.
Ergo, the title Wrigley Field North took on a name of its own. That was when Hurricane Harvey had pushed the Astros out of Houston.
I think. Yeah.
Harvey, right?
It was
Harvey,
one of the hurricanes
Harvey
pushed him out of Houston.
That I do know.
Definitely something in Texas.
Yes,
but that might have come later, so it might have been an earlier one.
But not a perfect game. He did. I remember he hit Hunter Pence, and I'm like, oh my god, it's over. They're going to lose this game.
I was going to say, if you have to lose a perfect game, though, don't you think hitting Hunter Pence is the perfect way to do it? Like, I mean, if you know you're going to win and you know that's the only base runner you're going to give up, I think it's poetic.
No, it was a great time.
Was there a single fan of the host team? Houston
Zero.
Astros?
Zero. There was zero. Zero.
Yeah, zero.
Not
the host team could not muster up a single fan. Probably because their airport was closed. But anyway, but regardless, it was nice to see him and then Ted Lilly and that was at a time when the Cubs are fighting for a playoff spot against the Astros, yes. Right? And the Astros complained to high heaven that it was unfair that they had to play the games in Milwaukee. It's like, well, where else do you want to play? No, I don't know. Okay, there you go. It's going to be Milwaukee. It's the only stadium we got available, right? So,
Cody, who is your pick for next week?
It was so long-winded. I did not expect it to be so long-winded, but I did learn a little bit about Carlos Zambrano that I didn't know off the top of my head tonight, so that's cool. But originally it was just going to be an obscure player that was not really good. But because of this conversation about the no-hitter and it being in Milwaukee, I am now going to ask for Alec Mills' conversation in your next show.
There you go.
Got it. Awesome.
We got it.
Cody,
Cubs legend Alec Mills.
Please remind our listeners where they can find your work on the internet and follow you on your social media platforms.
Yeah, so you can follow me on Twitter at Cody__Cubs. There's 2 underscores because some idiot on Twitter has 1 underscore in there. Instagram, it's the same thing, except instead of an underscore, it's a period. Same thing on TikTok. My link tree on my Twitter account has all my platforms too, which makes it easy to just go find them all if you really care that much. What I really want you to do if you're listening to this is to, after you're done listening to this, go listen to Wrigleyville Forever, which has, again, the name has nothing to do with this show. I will emphasize that again. I do it with a guy named Blake Cowell, who is a huge Cubs fan who lives in St. Louis. And he's a great dude. And we have a lot of fun talking about the Cubs. We do series recaps. We're going to do a lot more next year since the show started in mid-July this year. If you guys know who I am, you probably know why. I won't go into that. But, yeah, I check that out on YouTube, on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. It's available pretty much everywhere. So, yeah, YouTube channel with 1,370 today. So it's growing. We hope to I'd like to hit 1,500 before the end of the postseason. That'd be cool. So
always a great time having you on and catching up. And yeah, really appreciate you taking time out to talk with us today.
Absolutely, guys. I appreciate it. I hope to see you all in Wrigley during postseason or something like that.
Absolutely.
Good.
And yeah, good luck with the rest of the season doing the show.
Thanks, man. Talk to you soon.
Yep.
One other interesting fact, Carlos Zambrano, 24 lifetime home runs. And that 2008 season, he had a 1.2 offensive WAR with an 892 OPS. Just such a fun player. Great profile on Carlos Zambrano. Reminder, you can follow all of our social media accounts at Wrigleyville Nat. You can also go to our YouTube channel. If you're a subscriber to Cody's YouTube channel, make sure you give ours a like and subscribe as well. Helps us work the algorithm so other Cub fans can find the show. Search YouTube for Wrigleyville Nation Podcast. We appreciate all of the support we get. That's the easiest way to support the show is by going to YouTube. Even if you don't consume your podcast via the video form, just throwing us the like and subscribe will help us out a ton. If you want to support us a little bit financially here for celebrate a good Cubs season, go to our store where you can buy yourself a shirt. I'm wearing a shirt. If you're watching on the YouTube channel right now, you can pick yourself up shirts, hats, mugs, all kinds of stuff. Check out the shop. Just click the store link at wrigleyvillenation.com, or it's pinned to all of our social media profiles. You can go right to the store from there. And it's a great way to support the show. And thanks to all our patrons over at patreon.com/Wrigleyville Nation, keeping us ad-free for almost another season in the books. We'll be back for one more week next week and then the playoffs. So with that, we're going to wrap it up and call it a podcast. Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Cody. And thank everyone for listening. And we'll talk to you again next time.